Hey, listeners, this is Becca. And before we get started with this episode, I just want to give you a little intro into this series. Now, I have been wondering for a while, what does it look like to use your skills to educate others? And how does it look for each person? It can be so different based on your circumstances. And I really do believe like anybody anywhere can start a business. So for the first couple episodes, we're going to be focusing on education. And I love the contrast of the guests that I have because the first one you're going to listen to today is just one entrepreneur, so young, so fresh. And honestly, if you listen to her voice, she's literally shaking while we're having this interview because she's so nervous that this is the first time she's ever done something like this before. And wow, just the tenacity of someone to find the opportunity to use their skills and make a business. And then the next guest in the next series is someone who's so much farther along and has so many more resources and experiences to be able to lean on to start a business and educate others with their skills. And then finally, I'm going to dig into an ending episode on the things that I learned using my skills to teach and educate others throughout owning my business and also through a more recent opportunity to be able to do that. And when I say opportunity, I am not talking about a sales pitch. Quite honestly, I just do not have the time to give you any opportunity. But I do think it's going to be a super fun ending episode. So I hope you enjoyed the series as much as I did putting it together over the last couple months. And if you do have any feedback, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome to Business Talk Sister Gawk. I'm Becca, and today's podcast episode topic is how to leverage English to build a business. And with me today, I have an international guest. I'm super excited about this. One, because we've been planning this for over a year, and two, because we actually get to be in person in Hungary, the country, with Ipari today. And how do you pronounce your whole name? Because I know that I want to make sure that I get it.
My full name would be Aipiri Mavlyankulova.
Yeah.
It's post-Soviet Slavic. I have a post-Soviet Slavic surname. That's why it's pretty long.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Aipiri. I'm from Kyrgyzstan, but currently I am living in Hungary, studying and working part-time. And I'm gonna mainly talk about how I opened my business in social media.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about that. Using English as a really big piece of that. So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you do it. Like, what's the story behind how you got started?
So basically, from my childhood, my parents were always encouraging me to learn English and always study well. And especially, I started learning English alphabet when I was even 5 years old. Even before then, Russian or Kyrgyz language. So I speak three languages, and I was really passionate about English and the first part of it because my parents were encouraging me, and then I started watching TV series and I got very curious about the culture. And then I found when I was in high school a Future Flex Leaders Program, which basically a U.S. government scholarship, merit-based, and I applied there. I got in, and my journey on improving my English started. I would say in my life, I was thinking that I know English pretty well, but then I realized I don't know much about how to really speak and interact with people. And then after a year of exchange in US, I would say my English improved a lot, and I understood that traditional ways of learning English in my country is not really working. And that's why I decided that I want to help people to really improve their English on a practical way.
Yeah, so okay, what is the language?
Yeah, so I'm from Kyrgyzstan, and I'm also actually from southern part, which is pretty small village. And for my country English is not the second language even, it's third language.
Okay.
So my first language is Kyrgyz, and then I speak Russian, and third one is English. In Kyrgyzstan, people would learn Russian more because of post-Soviet, because Kyrgyzstan is post-Soviet country,
Mm-hmm.
and English was just getting popular.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, not everyone would speak it. But right now, it's more common to see young people speaking English.
Okay, so tell me about you're saying that you don't think that the way it's being taught is what you think is effective, and how did you learn that, and what did you do with that information?
I always knew that traditional method at school, which were taught by books or theory, wasn't really effective because I wouldn't understand most of things on YouTube or TV series. And we were just learning grammar, which I would believe even locals make mistakes.
So I guess one of my questions for you is, when you say even locals make mistakes, do you mean even the teachers were making mistakes in what they were providing?
No, I meant that Americans themselves
Okay.
doesn't use the grammar properly. I realized that even on the songs, lyrics, and on TV series, and when I was living in America, I realized that to be able to communicate effectively with people, which is the most important thing in using the language, I used to be able to speak it. Yeah, and we were just learning to write it, and our writing skills and grammar was good, but speaking skills were lacking. And most of the time, the speaking skills, I think, is very in demand, and I wasn't able to speak properly, and that's why I realized that I should help people like me to improve their speaking skills. And when I opened my English courses, I was focusing on improving speaking skills.
Okay. Yeah, and how did you go about doing that? Because I know that for a long time you just had, was it just a cell phone?
I would say that my journey was pretty long because I was working for someone else who had a business first. Yes, I worked first in the city, in the capital city, for pretty famous English courses. Also worked in the small cities, and the students I taught were very different from each other. I taught little kindergarten kids and until elderly. So it was very different students. So with that package of experience, I decided that I can open my own English courses. To be able to do that, I started working on my social media. I built a personal brand, and then I started showing that through English, you can achieve anything. If I didn't know English, I wouldn't be able to do exchange year, which was fully funded by US government. I wouldn't be able to apply to a scholarship in Hungary and study for free and get a scholarship. I wasn't be able to meet incredible international people all around the world. I wouldn't be able to make connections that I have right now. And without English, I would have very limited opportunities. So I realized that English is the key to opportunities I can.
So you started building your Instagram around that and just teaching other people about what you did.
Yes, because I realized that this through English, through the language, you can achieve a lot of things, and resources in English is more than in Kyrgyz and Russian as well. So I also realized that if you know English well enough, you can apply to a lot of scholarships, and you would be able to apply by yourself, not through the agencies, which take a lot of fees.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go back to that because I think that's really valuable, and I think that that's why your Instagram does so well as well. Because and I think too. Let's pause here because iPre doesn't have like millions of followers, but you don't need to in a country that first of all hasn't adapted a ton of technology, and also second of all doesn't have a lot of content creators in that language. And I think that you said something really valuable there where there's a lot more content out there in English than there is in Kyrgyz and Russian. And so if you just create content in those languages, you're going to have a ton of people wanting to learn, right?
Yes, I didn't create a content in English specifically, but I was actually using Russian, but teaching English through Russian.
So all of your Instagram posts, what language do you write in the caption?
I write in Russian because I have very different followers, and some of them might be beginners and might not understand big words. So I have to make it in Russian. And most of the people who signed up is from different countries. So right now, I was thinking to switch to English already because the followers that I have mostly do speak English and they want to apply abroad. In my Instagram page, I pretty much show how to learn English, how to study abroad for free, how to get a scholarship, how to manage your time effectively. And I also translate my life abroad.
Like share about your life
Share,
abroad.
yes,
Yeah.
I share my life abroad.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I think so basically you're essentially doing how-tos on different things. Tell me a little bit about what, since you've started this journey, what has happened with building a program or teaching people, and then what have you learned from that, and what are you doing with it right now?
So basically, when I moved to Hungary, first year, it's really hard to get documents right away because of bureaucracy, and I was not employed because I didn't have enough documentation. Then I realized that I have enough experience and I have my blog already, personal brand in Instagram, and then I decided that it's time to launch my English course business. And it was I was very excited about it and at the same time scared because it was my first time doing it, and I didn't really expect that it will be in demand this much. And I started having a lot of customers, and I was able to collect first 50 people who wanted to have individual classes and in the group. And then a lot of people just started demanding and asking if I have English courses, because in the blog I also shared about how I was teaching other students while I was working in those companies before. And when my Instagram grew, I had highlights about my experience. I also showed that I have enough experience of 3 to 4 years where I was tutoring or I was teaching in companies already. So I had enough courage to open my own business, and it was pretty successful.
Yeah, and then you decided to scale it a little bit, didn't you, for a little while?
Yes. So it went very well. But I launched these courses only in summer vacation, summer holidays, because I wasn't able to manage everything during my studies in Hungary. So I realized that I need more help, and I want to do this during my studies as well, not only in summer.
Okay, so you started teaching during the school year.
Yeah. So that's why I decided that I should delegate more stuff and hire some more teachers.
Okay.
Because the amount of students were rising,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided that I need more help, and it's better to do things with community and people who are passionate about teaching and also helping people to reach their dreams, because English, there's a lot of different students with different goals,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to reach those goals only with, they can do this only with learning English. So I had very different people, like elderly 60 years old elderly who wanted to move to US and expand his business. He was already a successful businessman in Kyrgyzstan. I had a girl who wanted to move to Dubai and work there in services
Mm-hmm.
and save up money. And there were students who were moving as well to US and wanted to improve speaking skills. There were even in US people who won a green card and moved to US but were lacking, were not really speaking well English and they needed help. So I had really different students with different circumstances and goals,
Mm-hmm.
but all of them were connected because they needed to learn English.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really motivating for me to teach them because I know that uh, I make difference and who I help people to improve their English, and it just seems very, maybe for people it seems easy or not really valuable, but through just English they can get a job, they can travel, they can speak with people, they can get friends like this. So I think just through learning one language, there's a lot of doors gonna open to students, and I really wanted them to be able to reach their dreams because English helped me a lot in terms of achieving all of my goals, because without English I wouldn't be able to be here. I wouldn't be able to communicate well with people that I admire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I actually hired just 2 teachers and started delegating, and I taught them everything I know, and I was also attending classes and giving feedback on how to conduct a class.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I went through like hiring process, I went through marketing because I was advertising on my social media, and all of my customers actually came only from Instagram, and I had around 10,000 followers, which is a little, I would say, and I still had customers. So through my social media, I was able to launch my English courses. Then I hired people, I did advertising, and then after that, I prepared full program. I made PowerPoint presentations. I prepared all books and homeworks, and then I just showed teachers how to conduct, and I tried to make it very interesting and interactive. I didn't want just it wasn't bland content because I wanted to make sure that it will be a fun way to learn English. After learning and studying in US, I learned from my own English teachers how to conduct classes, how to engage students, and how to make sure that students have fun and learn at the same time.
Yeah, so at the end of all of that, you decided to take a break, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. So tell me what you learned from scaling that you would do differently. And also, we'll get into the whole break section, okay?
Sure. Yes, I did a mistake that I hired actually teachers in this early stage of my business because I didn't grow that much in followers and I didn't have a lot of amount of customers to hire people, and I think I was just very tired to teach, and I was at the same time accountant and teacher, and I was making program and I was advertising, and all of these piled up, and I was um, a bit tired of doing it alone. So I wanted people to help me, and I decided to hire. But I think it was too early to hire because the money I earned and the money I gave to teachers weren't really profitable in my business. I learned it in a hard way because in the end, the profit I got teaching myself and profit I got by hiring was the same. So I think I should have not hired people and actually work on my social media more, make more target content in my Instagram, and get more followers and clients this way. And then when I would have a lot of customers over 200, I should have hired.
And we've kind of talked about that a little bit in the past, but it's good to recognize when you are not paying yourself for all the extra stuff that you're providing for your teachers, right?
Yeah.
Because you did a lot of work to teach them how to teach the courses.
Yes, that's correct. And I would say it was good lesson and good experience, even though it wasn't more profitable than I was doing it alone. I learned how to communicate with other teachers, with my colleagues, and also I learned how to lead the courses, how to give feedback, communicate better with people, because it was like real time. It was my first time in my own little business to be able to communicate with my colleagues, and I think it is valuable enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to just put a plug in here that like Ipri was 16 when I met her. And that was only a few years ago. So this is significant progress in what you've been able to accomplish with building an Instagram profile, building a business, learning English. Obviously, like myself included, we could all continue to improve on our skills and language learning.
Yeah.
But I do think the valuable thing that I want listeners to realize, because I do have a lot of listeners from all over the world, that it doesn't matter what stage you're in of learning a skill. If you are farther along than the person behind you, you can educate. You can teach someone about something that you've done, and you can provide that value, because I think that's what you've consistently done to push yourself forward.
Yeah, I was scared, but I was just going forward with the fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think I'm not perfect, and I don't speak perfectly English, but I just realized that I had a lot of experience teaching. Then I went to US, and then I was able to accomplish some of my dreams, some of my goals. So that's why I realized that even if my English is not perfect enough, I can teach someone who's behind me. And that's why I actually was teaching beginners and A1, A2, B1 levels, because I do understand my level of English as well, and I don't think I'm perfect enough. I would probably make a lot of mistakes speaking right now because I'm super tired. Yeah, so I think it's really important to be self-conscious enough to know yourself and your abilities, so you could know your worth and you would be able to realistically scale your skills.
Thank you for being with me today, by the way.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and we're gonna transition to first, how can people find you?
They can find me through my Instagram page, I would say, because I use my Instagram more than any other social media.
Okay, and what is that? What's your username?
It's at ipo.02. It's my nickname. My name is Iperi, but my nickname is Ipo.
Okay, AIPO.02.
Yes, that's correct.
On Instagram. Okay, very cool. And we're going to transition now to the Gawk portion of this episode. where we're going to tell you a story about my experience in Hungary so far. And okay, for the record, Hungary is gorgeous. It is relatively moderate in temperature and fantastic in so many different things in regards to food. Like let's just throw that out there before we get to the, the other thing. So I'm staying at a VRBO or whatever, and as we're here, before we got here, we got a message from the host saying, just to let you know, there's a little bit, the cleaner said that there was a leak in the ceiling, so we put a bucket there. And
A surprise.
so we got here, there's a little leak coming in this bucket. And it's like, okay, but as the next day came on, the wallpaper started to peel off the ceiling, and then it started to like go farther down, and then the leak wasn't like catching in the bucket anymore, and I kept trying to move the bucket, and there was a towel and it was getting soaked. This is ridiculous. So I ended up messaging the host, and I just said, hey, I just want to let you know this is getting worse and I don't want it to wreck your apartment, so you should really come and check it out. And they didn't have it was over the weekend, so their service people couldn't come yet and everything. And so finally they got here with the service people, and they ended up having to rip out a huge piece of the ceiling. And I showed Ipri the picture.
Yeah. It looks pretty intense.
It is, and there's sheetrock that just like all over the floor. It was crazy.
It looks like it's renovating, even though you guys are living here right now.
Yeah.
It's like Airbnb. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Airbnb renovation edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt so bad for these people because, I mean, this is an old building, and they had just bought the apartment like a year ago or something. And she's like, when I saw it, I almost cried. And I was like,
yeah, but the apartment itself, from the pictures, it seems very fancy.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, I love this apartment. I have no problem with it. But yeah, which we're in the middle of renovating some things at our house. So I was like, oh, don't worry. Like this happened to us too. It's not a big deal. Like
it doesn't even seem like Airbnb or hotel. It seems like a home.
Yeah.
These things usually happens at home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is just my home away from home. I would get a plumbing leak while on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that is my gawk for today. But good news is the leak stopped, and they're going to be renovating the rest of it probably after we leave. Yeah, hopefully. But anyways, thank you for joining us today. And if you're listening in the evening, it's definitely late here. So
yes, it's a midnight, guys.
Yeah. And you can give it a review on Spotify. And next week, I'm going to be speaking with another guest in another country that I am super excited about. So definitely tune in as well.